So first of all, I want to say thank you to Sean from ProMMANow.com who did an interview with me, and if you guys want to check out the site, I will put the link in the description below. Now this movie came out the same year of the last movie that I reviewed, which is honestly just a coincidence. Means nothing. I don't even know why I included that. And this is how you start the review, Mark. Good job. Good start. So anyways, I'm going to keep rolling on this whole horror movies that are only scary because they actually exist thing with this movie, which is about a bunch of giant killer rabbits. And the most amazing thing is that this movie actually takes itself seriously. You'd think that just with a premise like that, the movie would be kind of intentionally silly, but no, I don't think so. I think they were really trying to make this scary. This movie is called Night of the Lepus, which is the Latin term for rabbit. So let's get started, of course, by taking a look at the poster. And as you can see here, it's pretty ambiguous. Just a bunch of eyes in the shadows and people running away from said eyes in the shadows. And apparently the studio changed the title from rabbits and kept any rabbits out of any promotional materials in order to keep it a secret. But come on, let's be honest here. It's probably because no one was gonna go see a horror movie with a bunch of bunnies on the poster. Except for me. But that's only because I gotta do this show. But the funny thing is, when you look at this German poster, which has the original title on it, this actually looks a lot scarier than any of the other versions they came up with. It's much scarier than this one. And this one, well, this one is just weird. It almost makes the movie look like it's about some kind of hair monster. So the movie starts with a news report talking about how large the rabbit population is in the Southwest and how it's causing a lot of problems, especially with this rancher named Cole who's dealing with rabbit holes all over the place. So much so that his horse trips over one and breaks its leg, which means it's time for a trip to the glue factory. So Cole goes to Dr. McCoy and tells him he's going to do something about all these rabbits. Then Bones goes and asks these two researchers to help, and they come up with the idea of injecting the rabbits with hormones so that it interrupts their breeding cycle. And all goes well until their daughter takes one of the injected rabbits home by switching it with one of the non-injected rabbits. And we all know what's going to happen next, but in case you don't, the rabbit gets away, bangs a bunch of other rabbits, and that's how you get a movie full of giant killer bunny rabbits. Now the little girl goes wandering into a gold mine where she actually sees the giant rabbits, and this is represented by shots of her screaming intercut with close-ups of a rabbit's head. Maybe add some blood in there, dead body maybe. Later that night, a guy driving a truck full of food pulls over to check his cargo, and after hearing some growling, we are treated to shots of him looking scared, intercut with, you guessed it, close-ups of a rabbit's face. Now the next morning the police find his truck and his body, which has been torn to shreds and covered in blood. But not only does this look incredibly fake, but watch this. The dude is breathing. I also like how his limbs are severed, but they're not strewn about anywhere. It's almost like took a knife and just chopped each limb. So they take the evidence to a lab where this doctor is completely stumped as to what could have caused all of this.
So, what have we got here? Vampires?
Possibly.
Possibly. You're saying that it's possible vampires could have done this. Vampires. Now, while all of this realistic speculation is going on, they get a report that a family of 4 were killed, and then they finally come to the conclusion that it might be giant rabbits for some reason. You sure? You don't want to hang on to that Dracula theory? So they go back to the mine and just decide to blow it up with dynamite, but as you'd expect, the rabbits don't take kindly to that idea. One thing you'll notice, amongst a million other things, is that the rabbit attacks lack pretty much any tension, terror, suspense. But I have to give the movie credit because some of these shots are of a person in a bunny costume, but they've limited them and intercut them with close-ups of real rabbits. And I have to say, under the circumstances, this is probably the best thing you could have done. Because if you were to shoot these fights in a wide shot, it would look even more ridiculous because then it would just show what it is, which is someone fighting someone else dressed up in a bunny costume. So they blow up the dynamite, which collapses the mine, but we're only halfway through the movie here, so don't click on that YouTube sidebar just yet. There's plenty more attempts at making bunny rabbits look big and terrifying using miniature sets and slow motion to come. I mean, you didn't actually think a few rocks and explosives would actually stop these evil creatures, did you? I mean, just look at this. Just beyond terrifying. Oh no, not the horses. You monsters, you couldn't. You wouldn't. Well, I don't know, I guess they are. I guess that's what's happening here. Now, I can't stand here and pretend that if I was driving and I saw this, I wouldn't be pretty confused. A little shocked and frightened even. But this guy is so terrified he forgets how to use his brakes. Which is actually good because he knocks out the phone lines because, well, you can't have a horror movie without that cliche. Now, I have to say, quite honestly, for a movie done in 1972, I think this effect is actually pretty well done here. You'll probably notice that all of the shots of the rabbits are in slow motion, and that's because if they were at full speed, it would be obvious that the rabbits aren't that big and were shot around miniatures. I know that sounds weird, but shooting them in slow motion kind of gives more weight to their movement. So now everyone is hiding in a storm shelter under the house, and of course the rabbits break into the house. Again, this sequence doesn't create any tension, and it's definitely not scary. It is amusing though, because I was mostly intrigued by all of the miniature furnishings and cookware they put into the kitchen. I have to say it's pretty good, except for a few things that might be off scale. Like, this is supposed to be a saucepan, but this is a can of soup right next to it. Now, either that's a really small saucepan, or Costco has really taken things to the next level. So in this scene, the lady looking after the general store thinks she hears a bunch of galloping outside, but figures it's probably nothing. Little does she know the extreme horror she's about to experience. And it's even better when they add in the sound effect of a lion's roar during the attack. Seriously, the only thing this movie is missing is a Troll 2 oh my god moment at this point. It's just so hard to take this seriously because the rabbits, they don't look vicious at all. I mean, when you look at this, you don't get the feeling of impending doom. This doesn't look scary. It just looks cute. And then you just add in a shot of a guy getting tackled by someone in a bunny suit. So they come up with a plan to kill the rabbits that includes herding all the rabbits into one area by using a bunch of cars. So they go to a drive-in movie theater and ask everyone, hey, there's a bunch of killer rabbits out there and we need your help. I love how fast this takes place too. I mean, the cop just comes in, tells everybody about the killer rabbits, and everybody's on board instantly. I mean, were people more easily convinced back then or what? Because if it was me, I know I'd be sitting in my car going, well, okay, but there's like 20 minutes left. And now it's just a slaughter fest. They get the National Guard to come in with guns and flamethrowers, and they electrify the railroad tracks. So the rabbits are rounded into one giant death trap, basically. And watching this part, you can't help but actually feel bad for the rabbits. I mean, they didn't ask to be jacked up with steroids. I honestly don't really know what else to say about this movie. I wish I had more rabbit jokes, but I'm fresh out. Watching the movie, obviously this was not a tongue-in-cheek effort. They took this seriously. And it's just one of those movies that it amazes me that at some point someone said, yeah, we can make this work. But at the same time, you gotta respect the ambition. Alright, maybe a little bit too ambitious. Except for me. But that's only because I gotta do this show. Actually, I don't technically have to. I want to do this show. Why do I want? I don't know. I never really thought about it. I guess I could just technically quit right now. Yeah, that sounds like I think I'm gonna do that. Okay, well, 5 years, guys. It's been a good time. And thanks for watching. But I'm done. That's it. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go live my life. Maybe get married, have a family, have kids. Buy a house, do all that typical stuff. Going to Home Depot every weekend, renovating the house, maintenance. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep doing this show.